What's up, guys? We have filmed this back to back with our Civil War review because we are lazy. We're gonna talk about X-Men Apocalypse, and I'm sad.
Cue me.
I want to start drinking now.
I'd say this is one of the weaker films. I dare say weaker than X-Men Last Stand. Which I
Well, we don't want to die. This is the internet.
This movie was a difficult one because I'll start right off the bat with Apocalypse himself. I mean, the way the movie started out was really epic, and the scope of the film seemed to be set out there, and I was expecting great things.
And it was interesting to see them start in such a different way. I mean, like, none of the X-Men films have ever delved into that kind of territory before. You're in a completely different time, as in, like, you're not in the 70s now, you're in the like BC era, and it's Egypt, and all of this like craziness is happening. It felt epic. It felt strange because it was so different, but it felt good though. It felt very interesting. And then from there, I don't know.
It was all downhill. Let's maybe start off with like the Four Horsemen, because there was a very painful point there, because when the film starts out, these guardians of these henchmen are like badasses,
badasses,
seriously badass, and they were just tearing the world apart in the intro,
like ready to literally give their lives up for him. That's what was going down in that scene.
And then when you get introduced to when he goes and recruits the next ones, overall, I think this can describe the whole film, is that it lacked conviction.
Yeah, it did.
That describes the whole film for us, I think.
The Four Horsemen, I felt, was a big weak point because they didn't have any chemistry with one another. They didn't have any dialogue amongst one another. They didn't really feel like they were ultimately that deeply connected to Apocalypse, or ready to like lay down their lives for him. And also, why did he need them?
Yeah, I don't know. There's barely any interaction really between the horsemen themselves, and really between them and Apocalypse. I think Apocalypse like really took a liking to Magneto in this film.
Yeah,
but that was about it. Psylocke was almost a non-entity.
Cool powers, but I mean, didn't get to stretch them all that much, and didn't have like any character arc or depth. Character arcs as well were almost non-existent throughout the film. I felt like a lot of the things that happened were trivial and didn't really make sense in the bigger picture. Like that scene when Apocalypse is busy putting garnish on his friend Archangel and just like like making him look cooler. Like, what are you doing with your time? Why are you doing this?
Putting mags on your friend.
Really? You're Apocalypse. You're out there to direct cause the apocalypse.
He's like the biggest badass to the X-Men ever.
This makes me battle to take it seriously. Like, I mean, it's a superhero film, but in the film you're supposed to take him seriously. He's a massive threat, and he's like one of the biggest villains for the X-Men ever.
I mean, what a wasted opportunity to use Oscar Isaac's acting chops. I mean, really.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to somehow make Oscar Isaac a forgettable actor or forgettable performance in this film. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't outstanding. He didn't come across as this like massive menacing presence. He just felt kind of there. He was an okay villain. Like he wasn't physically imposing either.
Like you mentioned to me, it was like you go watch Ex Machina, and you are shitting your balls out with what he may just do to you in that theater watching the movie.
Yeah.
And in this movie, it didn't even seem like it was actually really him in it. So
yeah, sometimes it did feel a little bit just interchangeable. Like you could have put another actor in that role, and it wouldn't have made all that much difference. Having said all of this, it's not like it sounds like we absolutely hated the film, but we didn't. I enjoyed it less than Cohen did, but overall, I don't know. It just felt like, I feel like the saga so far, if you have to look at it from the last 3 films, my enjoyment level has stepped down progressively. So, First Class was great and it's aged really well. Days of Future Past was also I didn't leave feeling blown away, but it was really cool. Like they had some awesome stuff in it. This one felt even less cool to me, like less character depth, more trivial things happening, very little going on for how long the running time is, and then ultimately doesn't leave you feeling really excited about the film, like to watch it again.
Yeah, it's supposed to be part of the like soft reboot of everything, and then come again, you're not sticking to your guns. There's no conviction in what's happened in the previous films, and then believe me, they don't waste time making reference to the previous films. Just tell you, look, it's not a complete reboot. There's still links going through, but it just, like the thing with Mystique disguising herself as Stryker when they find Wolverine at the bottom of the lake, and then in this film it turns out no, Stryker did actually get him,
and then the whole Weapon X thing.
So that Wolverine felt like no, we have to shove him in here now.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. Like it was an afterthought. Okay, let's go for it.
The Quicksilver scene was cool. I can't give it shit. Like, it was cool.
It's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, but it felt that way. That's the problem. For me, that was the problem. Is that when it happened, it marked this abrupt tonal shift where it's the serious scene happening and the mansion's exploding and everything's going down, and then he comes in, and like the moment that he comes into the scene, you're like, oh shit, you already know that's his scene's gonna. This is his scene, you know, and can't fault them, and you can't blame them for that because of what a smash hit his scene was in Days of Future Past. It made sense to have another one and make it longer, bigger and better, but it didn't feel organic. It just felt like, and now we pause the X-Men film to bring you the Quicksilver scene.
Yeah, I feel like they've minionized him. Like, you know, Despicable Me was great. The minions were great in the film, yes, as these little side characters that inject a bit of humor and all that. They're fantastic.
I'm gonna drink some more.
More drink, less stank. What that means. And then Magneto in this film, he's become basically a puppet. He jumps ship from the good ship to the bad ship all the time.
Yeah.
And then, like, we get it. He's a conflicted character, and we've been invested in that attitude that's what Magneto is. But you don't have to keep on doing it. We got it in First Class.
Yeah.
And Days of Future Past. Okay, we get it. He's conflicted. He doesn't know what he wants to do. Where he stands with humanity, and then here again, he's doing the exact same thing. So a waste of Michael Fassbender for me. And Magneto, who's my favorite X-Men character.
The element that made me feel like it was forced, and we shared the same sentiment, is that everything was like wrapped up so neatly in a bow. I mean, like, it was an emotional scene when with his family in the woods, but when you think about it, like, as soon as it happened, I felt that effect. I was like, shit, that was impactful. That was like a ballsy move. But then I was like, actually, it's not. It's so convenient that like one strike takes them both out, and then it's like, oh, okay, there was his trigger once again, and it's like he's become a puppet basically. Like I felt like I lost a bit of respect for him in this film because it's just like, oh, there he goes again.
And there was also then when he finally decides in the big fight to jump ship again, when that cringeworthy scene where he's busy magnetizing the entire Earth basically, and he chucks metal beams to protect the other X-Men, but in the shape of a giant X. And I think I needed new pants after that because it was just, I peed myself with sorrow pee.
I felt like some of the other things that they could have revealed from like the way that things have progressed over the span of years from First Class to this were not very interesting. I mean, we all know Professor X to be bald and in the wheelchair. What First Class did to reveal how he became paralyzed was interesting. It was moving. When it happened, you were like, shit, that's dark. It's like, it's sad what happened. And then in this, it's like, how did Professor X lose his hair? And then it's just like, oh, that's how. It's kind of just like, okay,
It kind of just falls out, but
it's not memorable. It's not impactful. And now I'm sad again. Jumping to the positives again, similar to how we did with Batman v Superman, is we're not trying to be one-sided about it. I wanted to love this film. I really did. The acting was great all around. None of the characters did a bad job. It was awesome to have Nightcrawler back in the mix. I loved his inclusion. And I know you loved Sophie Turner's
I won't say I loved it, but she was a decent Jean Grey. That's all I'm saying, bitch.
We'll see. So for the final rating, we've kind of met in the middle. I enjoyed this film more than Batman v Superman, and it was...
Vice versa for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think we would give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I'm hoping this film helps Bryan Singer reevaluate what he's doing with the X-Men universe and then take the appropriate steps to try and correct its course. Because, I mean, they have a soft spot, I think, for both of us. I think I remember going to X-Men 1 and it was my first superhero film in a cinema. So, and I was, really excited. So,
yeah, X-Men 2, I still vividly remember the scene with Nightcrawler in the intro. Like, I went to the cinema with my folks, and I remember looking at them at that scene. Like, we just looked at each other and were like, shit, that was cool. And I wish, like, that's what I wanted. I wanted more of that. I wanted that feeling.
I think ultimately that's what a superhero film should be.
Yeah.
As a lot of shit that's cool.
Shit that's cool. And not shit that could have been cool.
Oh.